go. We can go to Luke 22. And while you guys are looking for that, tonight we're going to be talking about, I got to name this, I named it Enduring the Pressure. And enduring the pressure is basically lasting through the pressure. Because a lot of time when that pressure comes into our lives, especially unexpected, a lot of times we want to find a way to run away from the pressure. Because when pressure comes, that means we're being challenged and we're being pushed in a certain way that we're not used to, we're not comfortable with. And when we're not comfortable with something, usually we want to get out of it. I don't want to stay here, I want to get into what I'm comfortable with. And the definition of pressure is it's a continuous physical force exerted on or against an object. So when pressure comes, it's meant to move you in a certain direction. So when he puts pressure sometimes on our lives, it is to move you in a certain direction. And we all know what that pressure feels like because we've all felt pressure in our life at some point. We had to pass certain tests or something to pass a class. We had to do a certain thing to maintain our job. We have to, there's always a constant passing or testing or something like that to maintain the status quo with whatever it is we're doing. So we've all felt that pressure before. And it comes down to when that pressure comes, am I going to run away from the pressure? Do I not try things because I'm scared of that pressure? And so it keeps us also from actually reaching out and going for what God's put in our heart because we're scared of the pressure. And we hear other people talk about, oh, it's so hard, oh, it's so pressure, this and that. And then we're like, oh, I'm not doing it, I don't want to try it. Then we get scared off just because of someone else's experience. Because of the pressure they had, and they're like, no, and then we get scared, and we're like, well, I don't want to try it then because of the pressure that comes with it. And you'll never know if you could actually do it because you're scared of the pressure. But that pressure is what's going to prepare you for what is to come, all right? And sometimes we feel like that object that is getting that pressure, that force against us, all right? Sometimes the world or the family is going to put pressure on you to do certain things, some things bad, some things good, but the pressure is going to get something out of you. Because when something's being pressed, eventually what? Something comes out of it. It either gets squished or whatever's inside it comes out. That's why we press it, right? And when it's pressure for something good, it's going to get and secrete the most out of you. It's going to get out of you what you didn't know was there a lot of the times. When that pressure comes and it's over and done with, you realize, man, I didn't know that was in me. I didn't know I could endure that. I didn't know that I can do this. But if you run away from the pressure, you're never going to know, and it's not going to get the best out of you. It's not going to get the most out of you. It's not going to get that new thing out of you that you didn't know you had inside. So, when that comes out of you, when God is putting that pressure on your life and He wants to get that new thing out of you that you haven't seen or haven't tried or haven't tapped into yet, it's to bless others. It's to bless other people, but you're never going to know what God has put inside of you unless it becomes pressed, right? And we don't necessarily like it when God puts pressure on us because it moves us in a different direction, and it also, in a sense, makes us want to change certain things. We start getting now different thoughts in our mind of some things just don't feel the same anymore, and things just really start shifting around. Friends start shifting around, even family starts shifting around, and we don't like it. It's literally this pressure is changing my whole life. And sometimes it's faster or slower depending on how God is working with you, but something happens so fast you're like, I don't even know what's going on, but I feel like this, like a weight on me, like something's pressing me and getting something out of me. Things that God doesn't want in my life anymore, I just feel like He's just like, in a sense, like squeezing me and just getting it out. Because it's so painful and it hurts because these are people we love, things we love, and God is just squeezing like, it's got to get out, it's got to get out, it's got to get out. And the only way it's going to get out if you apply pressure. That doesn't play if I don't apply pressure, right? You're not going to hear that sound that comes out if I don't apply pressure to that instrument. When you're playing these keys, it's the same thing. If pressure isn't applied, I'm not going to know what's going to come out. So it works the same way with our lives. If pressure isn't applied, I'm not going to know what's going to come out. And it's something that'll what? It'll bless others. So we'll go to Luke 22, and we'll start at verse 39. So at this point in Jesus' life, Luke 22, starting at 39, he's getting ready to die. He's getting ready to get on the cross. He's getting ready to accept what he was born to do. All right? And even though he knew exactly what was coming before time, before he was to come, he knew exactly what he came on earth for. He knew his plan. He knew his purpose. And he's at the point now where that purpose is now about to come to pass. All right? So when we read, we're going to see how Jesus feels this enormous amount of pressure, an enormous amount of weight on him, the closer his purpose gets. Okay? And a lot of times it's going to feel the same way for us, where for some reason the pressure, it feels like we can't even bear it because the purpose is getting closer. All right? And it is very uncomfortable, and it can be very painful sometimes, but that just means the purpose is getting closer. All right? So starting with 39, he went out and made his way as usual to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. Jesus had a thing with the Mount of Olives. He liked that mountain. He liked it. Because they say, where as usual? So they're like, oh, he's going to the Mount of Olives again. We're going to go follow him. All right, so this is a usual thing for Jesus to do. All right. As we keep going, when he reached the place, he told them, pray that you may not enter into temptation. Then he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, knelt down, and began to pray. So here I want to focus on where Jesus went. He could have went anywhere to pray. All right. He could have went anywhere in that continent where he was, the Middle East. He could have went anywhere to pray, but I like to pray at the Mount of Olives. Mount of Olives. Okay, so we're assuming there are olives on this mountain, right? All right, he's there. There's olives there. So we'll assume that this is a place where people will collect the olives to use them. All right? One of the most valuable things, these people used olive oil for pretty much almost everything. To cook, to heal, they used it for a lot of things. All right? They used it for light, you could light a fire. They used olive oil as the most valuable thing they can get out of an olive, other than eating it. I want the oil. I want the oil out of the olive. Okay? So when they collect these olives, they now have to press them. All right? They have to put pressure on them to get the oil out of the olives. All right? And this is where Jesus went to pray. And this ain't the first time he went. But on this last day, before he's about to die, I'm going to go to the Mount of Olives, because pressure is about to be applied to me. I know what's going on right now, and I know what's going to happen, and I know pressure right now is about to come to my life, because my oil is about to come out. And that oil that was going to come out of Jesus, obviously, was what? It was salvation. Okay? But if pressure was not being applied to Jesus, we would not see this. Even Jesus himself had to endure pressure from God so that his purpose can come out. All right? Because he didn't have to feel this way. God could have made this painless. You know, no anxiety, no fear, you're okay, you're good. You know, you don't have to go through that. But no. Jesus is our example. He's the one who said, I've been there, I've done that. I understand you. All right? So if you're going to go through pressure, that means I'm going to go through pressure. Okay? And I don't think anyone here is going to do that kind of pressure like he went through when we keep on reading. All right? And this being the third time is the first time he came to Jerusalem. All right? The first time he showed up, he came through the Mount of Olives. All right? And then here, this time, again, he went through the Mount of Olives, so I want to go pray. And then when he descended back, after he died and came back to see the disciples, that was the third time. And that was when he ascended into heaven and blessed them and said, I blessed you guys, do what I told you to do. He ascended to heaven from the Mount of Olives. Okay? So this was a place where they collected them to press them and to extract the oil. You have to find your place, your Mount of Olives. We don't have it here in Florida, at least that I know of. You need to find your place, your Mount of Olives to go to and pray. Especially when you're really feeling that pressure, you have to go pray to see what exactly is trying to, God, what are you trying to squeeze out of me? God, what are you trying to get out of me that I have not done yet? And this is what Jesus did. He's like, man, something's coming. I feel it. I have to go pray. That was his response to the pressure on his life. And if only we responded that same way when we have pressure, because we can be pretty reckless when there's pressure, right? We start making decisions without thinking. We just do the first thing that's convenient. I'll just grab this, whatever first thing I can hang on to. Instead of, you know what, I feel pressure, I'm going to go pray. That's what Jesus did. I feel pressure, I'm going to go pray. That's what I feel like I need to do in response to this pressure over my life. Okay? So to get the oil out of him, all right, pressure needed to be applied. Okay? And the pressure that Jesus was feeling was the pressure of sin and the pressure of guilt. Okay? And that is a similar feeling that we even feel today. When we sin or we fall short of the glory of God and all that, we feel like ashamed. We feel like, man, I can't approach God like this. Like, I'm not holy enough. That stuff the enemy puts inside of us, like, man, I'm not good enough to approach the throne. I'm not, and that's what he tries to put in our heads. But as we keep on reading, 42, Father, if you are willing to take this cup away from me, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Okay? So all the pressure, he went to go pray. And we see here when he says, Father, if you are willing to take this cup away from me, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. He didn't want this. This was Jesus telling God, God, if there is any other way, if there is any other scenario, any other way that this can happen, can we do that? Please? And we're not too far from it because we do the same thing. Lord, if there is any other way this can happen, let it happen that way. Not this way, the way that I'm seeing right now. If you could make this happen any other way, please make it happen any other way. And we ask him. Because we have our own way. We have our own setup on how we want certain things to happen in our life, how we want certain things to occur in our life. And when things start happening not the way we imagined, we tell God, if there is any other way, can you please do it? Sometimes we force our hand and we're like, no, I'm going to do it another way, and that's what I'm going to do. And it doesn't turn out the way God planned it. When we force our hand in the situation. But Jesus, being 100% God and 100% human, this guy was not disobedient. This guy was, God's my Father, he sent me to do this, and that's all I know. I wasn't programmed to not defy him or not be obedient to him. But this right here really showed the human nature of, I don't like what I'm feeling right now. And I don't like the way this is about to go down. But, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. It really takes some time for you to come to a place in your relationship with Christ to actually mean those words. Where we have our own plans, we have our own dreams, we have our own thing on how we want to set things up. And for you to sit here and say, but, nevertheless, not my will, but your will. That's you literally saying, God, I don't know I don't know how this is going to happen. I know what's going to happen, but I don't know what I'm going to feel. I'm not sure how it's going to play out. But nevertheless, your will, not mine. And that's, you're setting aside your plans, your dreams, what you imagine your life to be, and you're telling God, I give you control. As painful as this is going to be, because you just knew what was coming, as painful as this is going to be, I am trusting you. I am trusting you that you're going to get me where I need to go and you're going to get me where I need to be. It might not have been my way, but it's going to be your way, and your thoughts are higher than my thoughts and all that. So I'm going to trust that your will is better than my will. All right? And during this, while he's praying, he's feeling that pressure and the burden of sin over his life. But there's other things going on here that we don't see that's also in the spiritual realm that is happening, and that he really felt that fight happening between the enemy and the lives and all that stuff. He felt what was going on. So at this moment, he's sitting here praying. It's not just, I know what's about to happen, but I'm also praying against the enemy and everything he's trying to do to get in the way of what's about to occur. All right? Because in the middle of your pressure, all right, in the middle of God pressing you and trying to move you in another direction to get that oil out of you, and that time where it's like he's squeezing you, and then something new is coming, so something new has to come out of you. There are people that are going to try to get in the way of that pressure. They're going to try, no, release the pressure. Leave him the way he is. Don't do that. Leave them the way they are. Don't apply that pressure. Don't do that. The reason why coaches yell at you or people care about how you do is because they care. So I'm going to put this pressure on you because I want to see the best and the most come out of you. And with God, it works the same way. I'm applying this pressure because I want to see the best and the most come out of who I made in you. The person I imagined you to be when you were born, that's what I want to occur, but it's not going to occur without some pressure. All right? Then an angel, let me talk about the cup. People talking about, Father, if you're willing to take this cup from me, what cup is he talking about? What cup? The cup Jesus was bearing at this moment was that cup full of sin. It was that cup full of, pretty much think of everything wrong with the world, it was in this cup. And he was telling God, hey, if you are willing, take this cup from me. I don't want it. If you are willing, please take it from me. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone on my knees and said the same thing. I don't want this. You can take this cup from me. I was not made to handle this cup. I know you're giving it to me. You put it in my hands, but I'm telling you, I was not built to carry this cup. All right? Then that's when that pressure comes and it tells us, we tell God, no, I can't. And he's saying, yes, you can. You just have to endure the pressure. I promise you. If I'm the one who put this cup in your hand, obviously I know you can do it. But since it's out of our comfort zone, and it's something we've never done before, and it's something new, and it's uncomfortable, and what are people going to think of me, and all this stuff, and that is when we tell God, no, just take the cup from me, I don't want it. It's causing too much moving around in my life. I cannot bear this cup, I cannot bear this weight that you put over my shoulders right now. I can't do it. And he said, if you are willing, take the cup from me. I don't want it. But then, like we talked about before, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. So if you think I can handle this cup, if you think I can take this cup and I can drink it, and understanding that drinking this cup comes with death, and you're going to raise me up again, even if I fall, I'm trusting you on that. Then an angel from heaven appeared to him, strengthening him. So in the middle of all this pressure, God doesn't release it. He doesn't say, all right, let me back off. Let me back off on you real quick. Hold on, let me give you a breather. All right? He doesn't say, you know what, let me get that cup. I got it. Never mind all this. Just ascend into heaven right now. He didn't do that to Jesus. He didn't release pressure, he didn't relieve, but what did he do? He sent an angel to comfort him. Jesus was in a very weak moment right now. We're not used to seeing Jesus like this. Usually Jesus is like, I'm Jesus. I'm not weak, I'm Jesus. But before this moment came, he had to go to the desert. Before he even started ministry, he was tried in the desert first before he did it. And that time he spent in the desert is what prepared him for this moment right here. Because he was tempted and tried in the desert, and what are we doing now? We're being tempted and tried at a whole nother level. Had he not spent time in the desert, he wouldn't be ready for this moment. See, people always want to walk around the desert. We hate being in the desert. It's hot, at night it's really cold, the temperatures are just all over the place, there's wild animals, and sometimes when God has us in that desert, we're like, get me out, get me out, get me out. Well, if I take you out too early, you won't be prepared for what's to come after getting out of the desert. And he didn't reach this point until 3 years later, after the desert. But if he went around the desert and skipped that whole process, he wouldn't be ready for this part of his life. That's what I believe. I think this is a prime example of God when he puts us in the desert and we want to get out of it, or we try to skip a process. Because a lot of times we want to just skip these processes and jump straight to, I want to be used like that, I want to do this and that. But we don't want to be tempted, we don't want to be tried, we don't want to be challenged. We do not want to do what's necessary to be used by God in that certain way. And we want to skip the desert, we want to skip all that hard stuff and just go straight to the, I'm here. I want to go straight to the, I'm singing, I want to go straight to the, I'm preaching, I want to go straight to evangelizing without going through that process first. But if you skip that process first and then you get to this moment, you're going to walk away and you're going to run. You're not going to stay here. You're not going to stay here praying until these people come and take your life. But God was so sure about Jesus was so sure about who he believed in, he was all right with that. I know what I'm here for. I know what has to happen, and I'm willing to endure it because I know something is going to come out of this. Something new is going to come out of me for the new territory that I'm about to step into. Salvation is about to come. Salvation is about to occur, and I need to die for this to happen. I need to be squeezed and pressed for this to come out of me, as painful as it is. When you actually think about the process you went through just to get to where you are today, even if you're brand new in Christ, or it doesn't matter, what moments have brought you here and what things have actually tried to pull you back from getting to this moment? How many things have actually gone in your life that tried to separate you from God? And then it says in 44, being in anguish, he prayed more fervently. So at this point now, he's in anguish. We're past, oh, this hurts, this and that. We're in anguish. That's like extreme pain, extreme anxiety. Jesus was feeling it all right now for what was about to happen in his life, for what was about to occur in a short time frame. He was feeling the whole grunt of it. It was like a point where he's like, I cannot handle this. He's holding that cup like, I can't hold this cup. Please take this cup from me. And there's situations, even me, that I have in my life where I'm like, I wasn't prepared for this. I was not prepared for this. I did not sign up for this. This is not what I expected. I don't like things messing up my flow. We don't like that. We do things a certain way every day. We have a routine. I don't like things ruining the routine, and this is ruining my routine. I don't like that, God. I don't like it when you come in and ruin my routines and ruin my flow of life. This is how I live. And you want me to change it for what? Take this cup. I can't handle this right now. This is too much for me. I just take it. Take the pressure off of me. I can't do this right now. Maybe later, but not right now. So just take the pressure off of me and go work on somebody else. But take the pressure off of me, because right now I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that kind of pressure, God. I can't do it. And so as we keep on reading, he prayed more fervently, and his sweat became like drops of blood falling to the ground. Has anyone here ever been in that immense of a pressure where you are sweating blood? Yeah. And this is actually a real condition, and it starts with an H. I forgot what the name of it is. But this is actually a real condition. This can actually happen in real life. And Jesus was experiencing this right now. Just really showing how uncomfortable and how painful it really was to do the Lord's will. Because there's going to be great times during the Lord's will, but there's going to be times like this where you need to be pressed. And you would think, what kind of God would do this? A God who preaches grace and mercy is going to follow me? This isn't that. This is not grace and mercy. What are you doing to me? Why did you make me sick? Why did you give me cancer? Why did you give me this condition, God? Why? This is not grace and mercy. This is not what that is, Lord. And we have the audacity to tell him what grace and mercy is. We have the audacity to tell him what he created and how it should be done. Right? We do that. So while he's doing this and he's praying, he is sweating blood. Just showing all those moments and all those times where we were so tired of this life that you just wanted to give up on everything and give up on it all and just literally run away. I'm just going to start over somewhere else. I'm just going to run away from all this, start over somewhere else. Nobody knows me, none of that stuff. And I can get away from this pressure. I can run away from all this, turn away from it, and never come back. But the problem with doing that is it's going to stay right where you left it. Because if you don't deal with it, it stays there. It doesn't flow into thin air and disappear. When you're running away from your problems and you're running away from the pressure and you're running away from the will of God, it's going to get you wherever you go. You can move to the North Pole. The will of God will find you the North Pole. You can't run away from it. Jesus, even knowing what was going to happen in this exact moment, I believe he could have said, never mind. I have no reason to go through this pain. I have no reason to go be crucified. I have no reason to do this. Well, he had a reason. But was it really worth it? God, are these people really worth that much to you? That you're willing to die for them? That you're willing to send me, your only son, to die for them? But Jesus knew exactly what was at stake here, and he's like, they're worth it. They are worth the price, and we have to come to that point where we have to tell ourselves, is the will of God over my life worth it? Me going through this. Me going through this pain. Me going through this stuff that I didn't have to go through before I knew him. But I want to do the will of God, and I have to ask, but is it really worth it? What I'm going through right now, is it worth? And I'm here to tell you, yes, it is. It is worth every second, every minute. I wouldn't change my life for anything. I don't know what a life of Christ is like. I don't want to know what it's like. I don't know what it is. Because those times where that pressure was on my life, I said, it's worth it, and I'm going to endure this, and something is going to come out of this. If I wasn't pressed by God, I would not be standing here right now. If I was not pressed by God, this word wouldn't be coming out, and my life would not be the same. If I was impressed, I would not know that, wow, God can use somebody like me. If I was impressed. But you have to endure the pressure so you can see what God can do. Because if you run away from it, you're not going to see what exactly he can do and what he could have. And I don't like to live with what he could have done with me, what he could have done. I want to know what he can do right now. Not what he could have, I want to know what you can do. Right? And so when he got up from prayer and came to the disciples, he found them sleeping, exhausted from their grief. Why are you sleeping? He asked them. Get up and pray so that you won't enter into temptation. So we see here in that moment with the disciples, Peter was going to deny him 3 times. Judas was going to go kill himself. Temptation was going to come upon them. And he's like, no, you need to pray because it's coming. The time has come. My purpose is here and it is coming. I'm about to die. I'm about to be pressed. Something is going to come out of me, and it's here, it's now, and it's going to happen. All right? And that just tells me, when I read that, when we're in these moments, you need people around you to pray for you. Hey, this is what I'm going through. This is what's happening, and I need you to pray. I need you to pray for me. I need you to pray with me. Don't fall asleep. How many people have fallen asleep praying? Yeah, I have. I'm like, oh God, I fell asleep. You fall asleep, especially when you're tired, because we want to pray when we're laying in bed, thinking it's going to work, but it never does. Right? You're like, oh, then you just fall asleep. It doesn't work. All right? This is what the disciples are doing. It's such a hectic moment in Jesus' life. These people are just, okay, Jesus over there praying again. Oh, I'm going to sleep. People were sleeping on Jesus. They were sleeping on what was about to occur in him, and they didn't really take it as serious because no one knew exactly what he was going through. No one knew the fight that was going on in his spirit in that moment. And not everybody's going to know or understand the fight that's going on in your spirit. Not everybody's going to know that. And people will fall asleep on you. But then when that purpose comes out, when that oil comes out, oh, so that's what was happening. Oh, okay, we see it now. But you weren't there when I was praying fervently. You weren't there in my anguish. You didn't see that. That's why you're not going to understand sometimes my relationship with Christ, because you were not there when I was in that moment. You weren't there when I was being pressed. You weren't there when my old self was being crucified. You weren't there for that. So you're not going to understand my relationship with Christ because you weren't there. When I was at my mountain while I was praying, going through something, when I was being pressed by God, it's going to be different for everybody. It's not going to be the same because there's different things in us that God needs to squeeze out. There's different purposes in us that God needs to take out. There's different oil in us that God uses for different purposes. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 4:17. For our momentary light affliction is producing for us an absolutely incomparable eternal weight of glory. So we do not focus on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, for what is unseen is eternal. So for that momentary time when you're going through this, that's exactly what it is. It's momentary. It doesn't last forever. The pain doesn't last forever. Eventually, it leaves. Eventually, it makes itself out. But like we talked about last week, when you focus on the pain, and you're focusing on what is being seen right now, you're losing focus on what the whole purpose is. It's not about what's happening right now. It's about what's going to come out of it later. What is the purpose for my pain? What is the purpose for my pressing? What are you trying to press out of me, God? What is it? I know it's momentary light affliction, and it's producing for us an absolutely incomparable eternal weight of glory. It cannot be compared to the new pressure that's going to be applied to you, which is God's glory. See, because we like to focus on the what is right now, what I'm seeing right now, how ugly it looks. Because it can be ugly. We look at just how messed up it is. But after all that comes an eternal weight of glory. So that weight that you're feeling now, eventually, it's going to come off, and then a new weight's going to come of God's glory. It's not going to feel the same. It's incomparable. And it lasts forever. It doesn't just last for a moment. This glory lasts forever, but you have to be willing to endure it. You have to be willing to stay with it. You have to believe, you have to be willing to stick with that pressure, because that pressure is going to get the best out of you. That pressure is going to get the most out of you. And if you don't stick with it, you'll never know if I could have or I should have. I don't like to live with the I could have, I should have. I like to live with the I want to know now. Can I? Can I do this? And so we like to focus on how it looks right now. But what will come out of that pressure is going to last forever. Your pressure is producing a weight of glory for your life. And then it goes on to say, so we do not focus on what is seen, but on what's seen, for what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. It's the things that we don't see God doing. That's the eternal stuff. That's the things I like to focus on. Whatever it is that's happening, hey, this is happening because something, God's pressing me right now. I'm in a new area I have not been to yet in my life. I'm experiencing something that I haven't experienced before. I am being pressed right now. I am being pressed right now. God is like just squeezing for that oil to come out of me to bless somebody else. It's not necessarily just for me. God is always taking to another level, not for you, but how he can use you. I am making your usability more effective every single time I put pressure on you. Because when something new is coming, new oil has to be over that. The old oil isn't going to work for the new stuff that is coming. It's not going to work. It's already been used. You know, there's times where I tell, I'm like, God, the old oil, I ran out. I ran out of oil and I need some new oil. But with that, I also understand pressure comes with it. With no pressure, there's no oil. If you don't press the olive, they get no oil. I would go to the kitchen and show you cooking oil. The olive oil. So you don't know what these olives went through, so I can use it to cook. We don't know what... Not everyone knows what I went through, so God can use that oil to then cook something. And I'm not going to know what you went through. I'm not going to know how you were pressed for God to get that oil out of you so it can be used to cook something, to make something, to do something new. And a lot of times, like I said, the oil was used to make fire. The oil was used for the lampstands to maintain the fire going. You needed oil. So those times when your fire goes out, that means one thing: I need new oil. This old oil isn't working. My fire God for you has kind of dwindled. It's gone out. And I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to start. I haven't talked to you in a while, and I haven't prayed like I used to, and I want to light that fire up again. For that fire to be lit up again, you got to be ready. God's going to do something to me. It's not like an easy thing. It's like an explosion happening. It's not there's fire. No, you leave matches like that. It's a chemical explosion that's happening. So you got to be ready for that chemical explosion that's happening when you're like, God, I want fire for you. A chemical explosion is about to occur when you say things like that. God, the old oil isn't working. I need new oil. All right, I'm going to press you. I'm going to press you, and that pressure is going to get you closer to me. Don't run away from it. Because I'm just trying to move you in a new direction. I'm trying to move you closer to where I am. But pressure needs to be applied to your life so you can get to that spot. So I can get you closer to where I am. Okay? So when we run out of those lampstands, what we use for actual light, you know when they say, I don't know if you guys have ever read that verse where your lamps will be light to my feet, something like that. The reason why they did was because back in the day, they actually used to wrap these lamps around their feet. Because walking in the desert and stuff, there's scorpions and whatever, so that light would make them, they want to know where they're walking. You know, I want to know where I'm walking, so that's what I'm going to do. But when that fire goes out, I don't know where I'm walking. And it works the same way, because to maintain that light, I need oil. And once that oil, and I need that oil, and I need that light to know where exactly I'm walking, where am I going? But once those light goes out, it's like, oh, I don't know where I'm going. And I might step on something that I don't want to step on, and I'm ready to stop. And it works the same way in our lives when we've hit a point where we're just so tired. We're in the middle of anguish for this new purpose, that's because the purpose is right around the corner. And we're at that tipping point of, do I keep going or do I stop? I thank the Lord for those that kept going, because they blessed my life. Do I keep going or do I stop? Your answer is, I'm going to keep going, but God, I need you to give me oil. I need you to give me new oil. And with that, yes, I'm asking you to put pressure on me, because I want to see what's going to come out of this. I want to see what you're going to do with this situation. Because that's the cool thing. I know a lot of people look at it that way. But when that circumstance occurs, it's like, well, God, here's your chance. What are you going to do? I want to see what you're going to do with this. I want to see what's going to come out of this. I want to know what it's going to do with me. What are you preparing me for? Let's stand up.